Hello everybody, VanVleet here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 113-111 loss to the Charlotte Hornets. Once again, the Toronto Raptors are succumbed to the late game heroics of Jeremy Lamb. He's a Raptor, he's a certified Raptor killer, especially in the clutch of games, because tonight, once again, he knocks down a game-winning three. This one wasn't at the buzzer and wasn't a behind half-court shot, but nonetheless, he still got a buzzer or a game winner against the Raptors, and it's unfortunate to lose these games in this sort of fashion, but before we get into it, before we talk about this kind of deflating game, even though it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, the Hornets are very motivated to win. They're fighting for the playoffs, and the Raptors, we're chilling. We're a second seed. I'm not getting shook, but it still sucks to lose a close game. But before we get into it, the comment of the day, and after tonight's loss, I wanted to find something that's pretty, wholesome, happy, lifts the spirit of the podcast before we talk about this game, and it's going to Samuel Remfry. I think that's how you pronounce it. Just a wholesome comment that I wanted to give out there. When people are giving nice comments, you know what? You're getting the comment of the day. I appreciate it. After this game, I want something to lift at least my spirits, and I want to throw out there, give a shout out to Samuel Remfry for being a cool guy from Australia. Shout out to Australia, all the fans all around the world. So that's pretty cool. But nonetheless, let's get straight into this game. And the Toronto Raptors, for most of this one, it was pretty solid. We came right out the gate and absolutely stomped the Hornets, and I think after that stretch that we kind of took our foot off the gas and kind of started treating it like a game 80 out of 82 when the seeding's all locked up, and just trying to get healthy, not worried about this game as much. And we saw the Hornets, they're a desperate team, and they came fighting back. Obviously, I mentioned Kemba Walker, Jeremy Lamb are Jeremy Lamb's great against the Raptors. Kemba Walker's always great. He had 29 points, Jeremy Lamb with 22. Even Kaminsky had some great moments tonight. Didn't shoot the greatest from three, but 22 and 13 from him. It didn't seem like the Raptors really were locked down until the last 6 minutes of this game, and that's when the starters win. I expected the Raptors to pull this one out. They made the right plays down the stretch, but once again, late game heroics from Jeremy Lamb sealed the deal, and that's how it goes. Made for at least an exciting finish, but we'll talk about the players. Kawhi Leonard, we're talking about more and more about Kawhi as we enter the playoffs, because he's really going to be the player to watch, and 29 points for him, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, really looked to take over at the end of this game, and he shot 12 for 18 from the field, phenomenal field goal percentage. But the one question mark a little bit about Kawhi, I guess the past week or so, his three-point shot has looked a little bit flat. Otherwise, he's been playing amazing, but we'd probably like to see a few more threes go in. But, you can only ask so much for your best player who's putting in 29, 6, and 4. Just quality numbers from Kawhi. He really carried the game. Down the stretch, he got us some big buckets, so I'm excited to see playoff Kawhi. We titled the last video Kawhi going playoff mode, and we saw it again tonight. He's amping up the intensity, and I'm really excited to see what he does when his 82 practices are over and the playoffs turn around. In same fashion, Kyle Lowry, he looked pretty solid tonight. He's doing all the Kyle Lowry things. His box score isn't overwhelming, but 16 points, 11 assists for him, and hit a couple threes. But once again, another player that's just coming into his own. We all kind of wanted Kyle Lowry to rest over the past couple weeks to make sure he's 100% healthy, and all the rest we can get Kyle for the best, but he's looking comfortable. The one thing when Kyle rests, he does look a bit shaky for a couple games because he's out of rhythm, and he's even vocal about how he doesn't like to miss time because of that reason. So he looks in a solid rhythm right now, and he looks comfortable. Even if the shots aren't going into where he was at maybe in 2016 or 2017, he's still doing the Kyle Lowry things that makes him so valuable to this team, makes him an all-star, makes him one of the top point guards in the league. So shout out to Kyle. I'm impressed with how he's been playing. Pascal Siakam tonight, I would have liked him to be more aggressive. At the end of the game, he tried to take it over in the fourth, and at the very beginning, those are the stretches where the Raptors look like regular primetime Raptors basketball. For the middle, it was just a bit shaky, at least in my opinion. But at the end of this game, he was looking for a shot. At the beginning, he was looking for a shot, and he had 14 points. Only took nine attempts tonight, but 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 for 3 from the three-point line. He's hit some, well, at least one above the break 3 tonight, and that's always encouraging to see. Pascal Siakam, he's one of the best corner 3 shooters in the league since midway through this year, since about February. So seeing him be able to knock down the above the break 3 a bit more consistently will be even more valuable to this team. But, Pascal Siakam, I'm not worried about him. Even though he kind of took tonight off a little bit, I want to say, because he didn't shoot too many shots. Still, he's going to be great going to the playoffs. I'm only worried about the playoffs. I'm sorry if I'm giving a poor analysis on this game, but the Raptors kind of struggled, but they kind of didn't. And I think everyone's just looking forward to the playoffs. I think the guy that played the best tonight, aside from Kawhi, is Serge Ibaka. 20 points, 12 rebounds, back-to-back games off the bench where he looks very strong. He wasn't Steph Curry from 3 tonight, unfortunately, 0 for 1 from 3, but he's getting buckets 20 and 10, and I love how comfortable Serge is looking off the bench now. We made the video on breaking down the 7 players that are definitively going to be in our rotation, and they all look pretty solid. The one question mark about Serge, especially when Marc Gasol initially came over, is he struggled a little bit off the bench, and people were wondering if he could keep up the great numbers he's been playing, if he maybe gets the same amount of minutes, but off the bench with, not being fed by Kyle Lowry for possession, more so playing with Fred VanVleet. But he's shown that he's been capable of getting buckets off the bench, and that's what I expected, because even though Gasol doesn't put up the same numbers Serge does, he's a bit more valuable in getting the most out of the rest of the starters, while Serge, he doesn't really need a lot of players around him. He needs a good guard to feed him the ball in the right spots, but he's not going to really create for other players, and he can do what he does. He can be the focal point down low in the offense, catch the ball in the block, catch the ball in the mid-post, and go to work. And tonight, we saw that from Serge, obviously 10 of 15 from the field. I'm really happy with how Serge has been playing the past couple of games, adjusting to that bench role. And Fred VanVleet, another guy off the bench, solid game for Fred, 12 points, 4 for 8 from the field, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. Since he's coming back from injury, Fred VanVleet has really stepped up his game. It sounds like a broken record on every podcast because I say it every time, but he's back to steady Freddie. I think that's fair to say. And playoff time, key. We need steady Freddie during the playoff time. We didn't have him last year because of that shoulder injury Miami played. I think we're playing Miami again in the last couple of games, so maybe we should rest everybody in that game, in my opinion. But I'm just keep going through these players. Danny Green didn't have the biggest game tonight. Hit a couple threes. Nick Nurse only played 19 minutes. Fair enough. Nick Nurse has mentioned how he's cut back Danny Green's minutes at the end of the season just so he's fresh and ready to go for the playoffs, and he doesn't get out of rhythm, because three-point shooters really can't get out of rhythm. And Marc Gasol, the same issues with Marc Gasol. He does everything great. He plays defense. He passes the ball at an extremely high level. He rebounds. He's in the right positioning. He screens. He's a great screen setter. But the issue with Marc Gasol in some games is he just doesn't shoot. He doesn't look for his shots. He doesn't look for his own offense, and it's really unfortunate. He started this game, he knocked down a 3. I was pretty excited. I was thinking maybe tonight could be a pretty big game for Marc Gasol, but unfortunately he just doesn't look for his shots. And it's not the same case of Jonas, because there's stretches where we just didn't give him the ball in the post. This season we've been pretty good at feeding our big men the ball, but the unfortunate thing is Marc Gasol is getting the ball, but he just isn't looking for his shots. He's not putting himself in scoring positions in some games, and in my opinion, it's to the detriment of the Toronto Raptors offense. Now, necessarily, do we want Marc Gasol to be the number one option? No. We have Kawhi, we have Siakam, even Lowry when he's hot is a better option on offense than Gasol. But he's still a guy that before he came to the Toronto Raptors was putting in like 16, 17 points a game. That's still phenomenal numbers. He's still capable of getting easy shots, whether it be in the paint or from the three-point line, and we need him to be more aggressive. Maybe Nick Nurse has told him just to calm down and really blow up when it really matters in the next week, in the mid-April, end of April, May, June, but it's not encouraging to see him have games where he takes 2 shots. He took 2 shots tonight. That's absolutely ridiculous. Gasol, be more aggressive. Look for your shot more. And then our 2 bench guys, I think the 2 people that are really fighting for bench minutes are Norman Powell and OG Anunoby. Those are the 2 guys that are really out here. Jody Meeks, I think he could be a asset for the Toronto Raptors in the playoffs. If you want the full breakdown, we made a whole video on it, but Norman Powell, OG Anunoby are 2 guys that are, in my opinion, in the 8th and 9th man role, 8th and 9th positions, and Nick Nurse is probably going to cut it down to 8, maybe a little bit of 9 players in the playoffs. So those 2 guys are really trying to make a name for themselves in terms of earning minutes. And OG coming back from injury, he was doing the right things, but unfortunately missed a lot of his open threes, which really sucked. Norman Powell also tonight wasn't very overwhelming. Came into the game 20 minutes, 2 points for Norm, 4 points for OG. Both of them shooting 25 and 33% from the field. No, neither of them hit a 3. We need those 2 guys to be effective in the playoffs. At least one of them. In those 8th man minutes, we need someone productive at that spot. Obviously, our starters have been amazing all year. Serge and Fred VanVleet. Serge has been great all year as well. Fred VanVleet's really been great since coming back from injury. Now we need that one more consistent player. I think those 2 people are the players fighting for it, and neither of them really impressed tonight. So they play good defense and all that. OG's a really good defender. You kind of miss his presence when he misses a couple of games and you see him come back, but we need them both to hit their open shots, and they've shown they're capable of doing it. We need more on a more consistent basis. Briefly mentioned Jeremy Lin, 0 for 2 from the field, 0 points, -11 for the game in 10 minutes. It's really looking like minutes are going to be hard to come by for Jeremy Lin, so unless he starts impressing in the short stints of run he gets, I don't see Jeremy Lin getting any playoff run. Anyways, enough about this game in terms of players. We're going to swing it straight into the segments tonight. The Kawhi Doom like that play of the day. And I alluded to the chemistry that the Toronto Raptors have been building at the beginning of this podcast. And there's a lot of plays tonight where the ball just really swung across the court. And things were looking really, really nice. The Toronto Raptors offense was fluid. It was in sync. And I really enjoyed seeing it. There's a couple plays. One, Pascal Siakam threw up a pump fake. Lowry threw up a pump fake. The ball swung all the way around the floor and ended up in a 3. So that was a pretty good one. Those are the Kawhi Doom like that plays of the night. All those ball movement. The 2014 Spurs offense. It's funny I say that because before I even mentioned it, I forgot that 2 of those players are currently on the Toronto Raptors. But if you remember that team, that ball was swinging all around the court. And they ended up beating the Miami Heat in the finals with that. So hopefully the Toronto Raptors this season can do something similar. But not all plays can be the Kawhi Doom like that play of the day. And some just make you say, oh, geez. And tonight, the oh, geez play of the day, it's going to OG himself. Unfortunately, he's come back from injury. I'm happy to see him healthy. And I guess, we can't expect too much after he misses a few games with a concussion-like symptoms. But I briefly brought it up, and Nick Nurse went with OG in the fourth quarter because of how great on defense he was playing, doing the right things and stuff. But he missed a couple really, really unfortunate threes at the end of this one. 2 threes that would have really put the Toronto Raptors in a good position to win this game. Kind of took control of the game, but unfortunately they were in and out. And OG, if you're going to miss those open threes that could really have been momentum builders, you're getting the OGs play of the day. But finally, the infamous, the one and only DeMarre Carroll Gold Star Award. And tonight, it's going to Jeremy Lamb because, not because he played poorly, but for how it was unfair to do that to Raptors fans twice. I think that's it's just a disrespectful thing to do. The worst part about this game tonight was Jeremy Lamb having to crush our soul for a second time. How are you really going to put 2 L's on the Toronto Raptors win-loss record? The Toronto Raptors have only lost 24 games this season. Literally 2 of them have come at the hands of Jeremy Lamb game winners. If he missed those shots, we would be 58 and 22 right now. Right now we're 56 and 24, all because of Jeremy Lamb and his crazy endgame antics. So you're getting the DeMarre Carroll Gold Star Award tonight. There's a second one being handed out to the Charlotte Hornets head coach because you have Bismack Biyombo on your roster. You have him on your roster. I know he's a -11 3 minutes, but you have him to start. You're starting Bismack Biyombo, and you literally only play him 3 minutes. Biz is our father. For Raptors, all Raptors fans know that we're around to 2016. Bismack Biyombo will forever be our father, and the Charlotte Hornets are disrespecting this man by giving him 3 minutes. They're baiting him, telling him he's going to be a starter, and then they play him 3 minutes. That's whack. I know Frank Kaminsky had a really big game tonight, and Hernan Gomez, he played 3 minutes as well. There's some big guys on their team, and I guess they want to match up, and they end up winning the game, but you can't do Biz like that. That's disrespectful to my guy, Bismack Biyombo. Future Raptor. He's a former Raptor, and hopefully he's a future Raptor, because Biz is my guy. Anyways, enough of me ranting. This game is it's over. It's done with. The Raptors could have pulled it out. There's a lot of positives to take away, but unfortunately, Jeremy Lamb ripped our hearts out of our chest, and that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Hopefully it doesn't happen in the playoffs. Anyways, we might end up matching up against the Hornets. We actually have a video coming tomorrow about who we want to see in the first round. We didn't really talk about the Hornets because honestly we thought that we'd win tonight and they'd be out because they're 2 games behind everyone else in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. But maybe they're back in contention. Would you want to see the Hornets in the playoffs? I definitely don't want to see Jeremy Lamb in the playoffs, but regardless, check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the podcast, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Music, so if you're interested in listening to us on those platforms, definitely check us out, search us up. Any last word? Haha, this is a solo podcast, Riker's not on this one, so I got the last words, and hopefully the Toronto Raptors don't have to see Jeremy Lamb again this season. So I'm signing out. Cheers.